Hi, the Tiny Issue. I am Eileen and I'm the founder of East Asian Girl Gang. I would say I can sum up my journey from Vancouver to London in one word, which is romance. So I did have the privilege of traveling a lot when I was younger. I spent a year studying fashion design in Paris. I finished my undergraduate degree in San Francisco in got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Illustration, which was fantastic. It's such a great city. And then I was lucky enough to have a gap year in Tokyo. And when I was there, I happened to meet a young Englishman. And yes, reader or listener, I married him. And so I ended up in London, so it's as simple as that. I realized suddenly there was a gap in my life, which is I'd been living in England for a very long time. And I had amazing friends, fantastic friends. And yet I suddenly realized none of them were of East Asian heritage, whereas in Vancouver, where I was born and brought up, half my friends are of East Asian heritage. And I thought, gosh, that's really strange. And I suddenly felt I was missing something in my friendship groups. So I felt the easiest way to remedy that was to create my own friendship group. And that kind of was the start of East Asian Girl Gang. It didn't start as an advocacy group, it didn't start as a movement, it didn't start as a charity. It simply started as a place to find friendship for people with a shared heritage. But what I have found the most interesting is sometimes when you live in a new country, you think, this is going to be all about learning so many new things, meeting new people, learning a new way of living. But actually what it does is it shows a reflection of your own self, and you tend to find out a lot about who you are as a person. So how can I choose my favorite, my place I feel at home? I'm going to have to say it's 50-50 Vancouver, London. The funny thing is when I'm in Vancouver, I really miss London. And when I'm in London, I really miss Vancouver. So, yeah, definitely. I think one of the things I felt really strongly about when I started the community, and the launch, I love the word launch. It sounds really fancy, like there are hundreds of people and champagne towers and stuff. It was totally not like that. I had this idea in my head, and I spoke to a mentor who's really experienced in this area of community building and has built some very powerful global communities, mainly around women. And I mentioned this idea to her, and she's so positive. I love her. She's called Pinky Lilani, and she's so full of energy and ideas and positivity. And she said, what a great idea. I think you should do that, and I'll introduce you to two women who'd be perfect for your community today. So one was a prima ballerina with the Royal Opera House. The other one is a very successful banker. And suddenly I was launched. So I had a name, and there were 3 people, including me, in the group. So it was kind of thrown in at the deep end. But what it made me realize is I wanted it to be very much a community that was obviously, in terms of gender and in terms of heritage, ethnicity, it was not diverse. And that was kind of the point of the group, one of the points of the group. But in all other ways, I was really keen for it to be representative of different sectors, so different professional sectors, different ages, different countries. And I think that it's been successful in that sense, that the whole East Asian diaspora is represented in the group. We have people from the ballerina to scientists, to entrepreneurs, to media people, creatives, writers, artists, designers, and of all ages, so from women in their 20s going all the way up the decades. And I really love that interaction, because I think everyone is so busy these days. It's very easy to live within your bubble, whatever that might be. And it doesn't, sometimes your busy life, people's busy lives don't allow them to step outside that. And this gives people a chance to meet people they might never have met. And there have been some really lovely stories that have come out of all the connections. that had been meaningful to people professionally and personally. A couple of years ago, somebody made quite a racist comment towards me, and it wasn't in the way that, you know, you're walking down the street and somebody says something not nice to you, or you're in I don't know, you're with people you don't know. It wasn't like that at all. I was with people that I didn't know. I was in a social setting. I was in my own home, actually. And somebody made what to me felt like a very, very offensive comment, which I did call out. But it's very difficult to navigate that when you're in a social setting. How far do you go in terms of being angry, being upset, calling people out? So as probably is my character, I just let it be. I said my piece and then I just let it be, and the evening carried on. And 5 years ago, maybe I would have reached out to my friends in Canada and I would have asked for support there. Now, the first place I went to was the WhatsApp group for East Asian Girl Gang to say, this is what happened to me. What do people think? Was I wrong in what I did? Was I right? Should I have done something different? What would you have done? Has anyone had this experience? And I was flooded with so much support and just friendship and ideas and opinions. It felt like such a, I don't know, it was a bit of a revelation to have that space filled so perfectly in the way that I had hoped for but hadn't really imagined might happen. So that's my own personal happy story of where it really resonated with me and why I was so glad, if just for that, to have created the group. Yeah, there are quite a few actually, but I think one that was quite recent, which didn't involve me personally, but that's also what I like, which is that East Asian Girl Gang has taken on a life as a community of its own, so that the interactions between other members can be so meaningful, and it makes me feel really happy that that is happening now independently of me. I don't need to be involved in all those interactions. Other people are interacting. So Nancy Vong Johnson, who's a really incredible woman, she runs a company called Tengri. She's very much embedded in the world of sustainable fashion. And she's also very much embedded in the world of the nomadic peoples in Mongolia, because she has found a way to use the hair of their animal to create beautiful, very high-end fabrics and clothing and bring it over to this country. So in that sense, helping both countries economically and helping these nomadic tribes find a way to survive. And last summer, she took a group of people to Mongolia to experience what she has, going really, it seems to me, deep into the middle of nowhere, in these incredible landscapes. And one of the women who went with her was Christine Cheng Hanwei, who is also a member of East Asian Girl Gang. And as a result of it, Christine has now become the artist in residence, the first one ever for Tengri, and is doing a whole series of paintings and writings for the company, because she was so moved by her experience there and by the amazing things that she saw and experienced. So I love that story because it feels global in its outreach. It feels very meaningful in the intimate relationship that's being created between the two women. It feels somehow also important in that this new position of artist in residence, which I just love the idea of that for a company, has been created. So that whole story felt very complete to me, and it really warmed my heart. Like I loved hearing about it. But there have been quite a few connections like that, where people have networked just very informally within a group, and someone will say, oh, well, I know somebody who, okay, well maybe, and then something comes out of it. And that to me is like the greatest gift, because that's what you want. You want positive energy to meet positive energy to create something really fantastic and positive. So it's a win-win-win. I would say that fashion, and probably beauty as well, it's one of the few professional sectors where women are quite dominant, and that's unusual. But as a woman, it made it a really great place to work, because my bosses, I did have one really great male boss. He's fantastic. He's still super successful. I had a series of really fantastic female bosses. And in terms of role modeling, there were always very strong, successful, powerful women at the top of the tree in those businesses. So it was very easy to see oh yeah, I can be successful here. So that was great. So I would say the challenges probably were not sector specific, they were heritage specific. So there's this whole thing around the bamboo ceiling. I don't know if you've heard about it. They always talk about the glass ceiling for women, like women get so far and then they can't get past this thing. For people of East Asian or maybe East and Southeast Asian heritage, they talk about the bamboo ceiling, which is a ceiling that people of that heritage hit because of cultural differences and cultural, perhaps I can call them misunderstandings. So in the Western world, independence of thought and action, leadership, vocalization is very important. You need to stand out to be a leader. If you want people to recognize what you've done, you have to tell them. You tell them how good you are, how great you are, how much you've done, how brilliant your work that you've done is, and why you're better than everyone else. In Asia, it's almost the opposite. Like in Japan, I know there's a phrase like the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. It's like you need to be the same as everyone else. You need to be quiet. You need to keep your head down. You work hard and someone will recognize that. You put your hand up, but only if you actually have something to say. Like, it's no good just putting your hand up for no reason, saying, oh yeah, I think I know. No, you only do that if there's a reason. And being quiet, being diligent, keeping your head down, not making too much noise is considered to be a virtue. And so when you take this person who is working very hard and maybe very good at their job, but not telling anyone what they're doing and not telling them how great they are and how much they've done. And then they're working in a world where everyone else is actually saying, I've done this, I've done that, I'm amazing. You get lost in the mix. So I think that there is that if you are working as somebody from one culture in a different culture, a lot of cultural misunderstandings can occur. And so there's been a lot of academic research into why does that happen? Why is it down here, education, entry level, maybe first or second tiers, overrepresented? Then suddenly at the top, underrepresented. And a lot of people would argue it is this thing of cultural misunderstanding, of an idea that people of Asian heritage are not good leaders because they don't speak up enough. They don't make themselves heard. Any challenges I may have faced haven't been to do with the sector. It probably would be because I do tend to be more quiet, less outspoken. But it's something you learn from, and I've become much more outspoken, I think. Later on in life, I feel more confident about saying things. I feel more confident about banging my own drum. So part of it is learning how to navigate different cultures to your own advantage. Yeah, I would say absolutely, definitely. And I think, when I look back at my life, and maybe everyone's life is like that, you look at it in chapters, first you're a young child, then you're a slightly older child, then a teenager, then you're a student, maybe you're starting off on your own, then maybe find a partner, or maybe find a family, you have a family. There are different ages, so I have friends from every stage of my life, which is lovely. I have friends from my early years, university years. I have so many lovely friends from when my children were growing up, from working. And now I have this new friendship group, which is just different from all my other friendship groups, because most of the other ones, you're brought together for a reason. You're at university, so you saw each other every day. You were doing school drop-offs, so you saw each other every day. You're in the same baby group, or you're at work, you're in the office every day together. So there's a reason why you were brought together. For this, it's slightly different, and because of it, as I said before, the age range, the professional sector range is so wide. It's given me a glimpse into lots and lots of other worlds which I might never have had the opportunity to kind of visit or look into, which has been really lovely. Well, I'm so glad you said that, because I agree with you. I think when you're a child, you make friends very naturally. When you're at school and university, you don't have a choice. You're with these people every day. But as you get older, people's lives, people have partners, they might have children, they might be traveling. And so you actually, I think one of the things I have learned, and if I'm going to be very gendered here, I'd say in my experience, I would say that women tend to be better at doing this, is cultivating friendships. because you take friendships for granted a bit when you're younger. As you get older, you realize how precious they are. And they're like they're like a plant. You have to feed them and water them, you have to pay attention to them. And you have to be mindful of your friendships, and because it takes a lot of time to become friends. You don't just become friends overnight. So you need to meet people regularly, to be in contact with them, to know what's going on in their lives. And yeah, so it is nice that hopefully this is like a touch point or a nexus for a lot of people who can find a different type of friendship there. So yesterday I met up with another woman in our group, and hopefully I think she's going to be our creative director, which means that instead of me just thinking, I must do this, or like, oh, it's on the timetable, I must get the newsletter out, it will be a bit more organized, and we'll have a more organized schedule for get-togethers. We might add a charitable aspect to the group, which is very exciting. And it will just hopefully enlarge our scope. But the other thing I'm very hopeful for is that this group is very London-centric for obvious reasons. I live in London, a lot of the people that I meet live in London. There's probably a handful of people who live outside of London, and it would be so nice if we had different chapters or like, around the country, and it would just mean that they would have the opportunity to meet up in their own geographical area and gain some of that benefit as well, because meeting up in person is always such a nice extra to the online or to the WhatsApp group. So yeah, so there are definitely things in the pipeline that are exciting. I did think the other day, how big should it be? Because there's something, obviously when you're so small, if you were too small, you don't carry very much weight. You're like a dandelion flying around. But when you get really large, you become quite heavy, and it's difficult to move, and you lose your flexibility. So I think there'll probably be a sweet spot in terms of the size of this group. And I think actually in terms, I don't have like an overarching ambition to be the largest or the best known or the, I don't know, because it's kind of not about that. I would just like it to be known as a community that is incredibly supportive and positive. It's somewhere where people can go and find friendship and find interesting conversations. So I would hope that it would grow and grow quite a bit, but I never want it to become a victim of its own success in a sense. And I really feel very keen to maintain it as a non-monetizable group, so it's not about making money, it's not about being paid for advocacy or consultation or anything like that, and very apolitical, because I want it to feel like a very welcoming space for anyone. Whatever, your thoughts, your backgrounds on certain situations, that's fine. I feel like we share a lot more than any differences that could divide us. So I guess it's more I want to take it one step at a time and make sure that every step is a positive one in a good direction. Actually, the first piece is listen to your mother. Because the older I get, I'm like, oh, she was right about that as well. It's like, every year it's like, oh my goodness. But aside from that, I would just say the most important thing is try and believe in yourself. We're all so full of possibilities, but those possibilities can only be acted on if you have self-belief. So try and believe in yourself, surround yourself with people who believe in you, family and friends. Hang around people who make you feel good, who believe in you and who love you and are willing to support you. And that helps you believe in yourself and your dreams and all the possibilities in your life. Yeah. I would just say, and it will sound very cliched and very trite, but I would say the world is your oyster. I think that though there are many things which are very imperfect in our world, there is no better time to be a young woman with a lot of ambition. And there'll always be barriers, there'll always be challenges, there always, life is definitely not easy. And ask anyone who's reached the age of 75, they will have had some hardship in their life, no matter who they are. So it's not about avoiding those challenges or avoiding difficult times. We grow from difficult things and we grow from failure. But it's about understanding that you can do so much. So just go for it.